All right, what's going on there, folks? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is the Earthmaster back here on this wonderful weekend, Saturday, December 23rd, 2023. Whole lot of 23s there. About 12:50 p.m. California time. Latest activity looks like a 2.5 over here. 2.9, excuse me, around the Philippines area. Also 2.5 somewhere here on the map. Looks like over here across the Turkey area. Did see some movement overnight, kicking up around the Curl Kamchatka. Notice this 5.6 coming in at the northern end of this subduction zone, coming in about 53 kilometers deep here for that 5.7 earlier this morning. Been watching this lately, been seeing a little bit of movement up here across this area. I still think it's got potential to see some further large-scale movement. Look at the earthquake 3D globe here. Shows quite a bit of adjustment going on here across the Java Trench, almost in the entirety here across this subduction zone. So quite the movement going on here across this plate boundary. Very visible. Nothing big, just quite a few 3s and 2s. And a couple 4s thrown in there as well. Back prior to this area, we got some further movement in the deeper regions once again into the Tonga Trench. This 4.5 coming in earlier this morning, about 520 kilometers or so deep below the surface there. New Zealand, doesn't look like we've seen anything else stir up overnight. I know it took the USGS a little while to post that earthquake that struck up there yesterday. So we're going to double check the most recent map here from the GeoNet servers. And these are the folks that monitor the activity down in the New Zealand region. 4.5 looks like here about 4 hours ago. 20 kilometers deep. There is that 5-pointer that got me a little bit worried yesterday. That's somewhat deep here into the southern end of the Hikurangi subduction zone. That 5-pointer coming in 160 kilometers deep. So we did see a little bit of adjustment further upstream within the same area of the Hikurangi subduction zone. Looks like a 4.5 and a 2.7 as well. So kind of watching that. This movement down here, let me show you guys. The 4 point, well, these guys here said it was a 4.5 yesterday, but the GeoNet servers reporting a 5-pointer. Either way, still some deeper movements here into the southern end of the Hikurangi, which sits right here, just off the east coast. You can see it there on the oceanic crust, that subduction zone there. Of course, as you go further left here on the map, we get these deeper earthquakes into that subduction zone area. And again, today we got some, what is a 4.5 stirring up here around this region, and a couple other quakes stirring up as well upstream, but still literally within the Hikurangi subduction zone area. If you look at the map, let's go over here and check it out real quick. 4.5. This is that earthquake today offshore, but situated again within that Hikurangi subduction zone area. Right off here. So we'll continue to watch this potentially for some further movement. It is a major subduction zone, quite a bit of information on it, and it's been a little while since we've seen any major earthquake activity on here. They believe the potential magnitude out here could be 8.2 or higher for this Hikurangi subduction zone. So keep an eye on it. Continue to watch this region down here for some further activity. The deeper movement, got to remember, into the subduction zone areas does add further strain upstream here, where the strain tends to build. All right, into the big blue Pacific out here, Hawaii. A couple smaller earthquakes out here today. Not really seeing anything major going on around the Kilauea volcano. That's a little weird. Let me check the latest informational statement here from the HVO. See if we got anything new to chat about. The volcano is currently not erupting, and of course seismicity there has been pretty low across the summit region. Cycles of rising and falling seismic activity can be expected to continue during repressurization of the summit magma reservoir. Looks like the tilt meter still remains at a higher level of inflation, and that's well, since the last 2018 eruption there, the bigger one. We've had, of course, obviously a couple more eruptions since then, but confined to the lava lake area at the summit region. That one was a little bit more dramatic back there a few years back. Let's see what we got for the tilt meter going on here today. As we look at the Kilauea volcano, beautiful day out here in California right now, about 61 degrees. Not really seeing any rain here for a few more days, so I guess we'll enjoy the sunshine. Looks like this peaked last night here. This is the last 2 days of inflation. Pretty sharp rise in terms of the inflation data, which is now, well, that last inflation data here last night or early this morning is now at its highest level in, since 2018. And that has reached higher than all the previous peaks out here, this previous inflation chart over the last couple months. This is the last 30 days here, but we've watched these little steps here, inflation steps, go up and then decline for a couple days, then go up higher than the previous inflation, and now we're looking at another one going on higher than all the other inflation events. So we're still looking at magma accumulating quite a bit down there, as we can see here. Although these little peaks are looking sharper and shorter in terms of the length of time for the inflation compared to all these other ones. I'm not for sure what exactly that means, but definitely keep an eye on it. Let's go ahead and check out the latest webcam imagery out there. I hit the wrong one. Go back here real quick. Obviously, there's some volcanic gases out there. This is just a part of the crater rim area of Kilauea volcano. Still seeing quite a bit of volcanic gases, and we can zoom into other areas and check them out real quick. Here's a view from the observation tower. No visible features there aside from some volcanic gases. I still am leaning more towards, and I keep saying it because I'm still believing that we'll see more fissure activity open up south here of the Kilauea summit region. I'm just kind of leaning towards that area, potentially over here across the southeastern rift zone as well. But we'll continue to watch it. Not a whole lot of earthquake activity, but still we're looking at the inflation with that sharp rise kicking up there. Goodness. All right, what else we got? Puerto Rico. Look at this area down here. It's just wanting to get crazy. We did see that earthquake here yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, this 5.3 coming in. Historical data shows that we're a little overdue here for some larger scale movement. Potentially 6 and 7 magnitude earthquake strike here on a regular basis across this little area, this plate boundary. Bigger quakes across the subduction zone, but it's been a little while since we've seen any decent movement out here. So 5.3 I think could be, hopefully not, but it could be some foreshock for something bigger about ready to happen. It looks like we did see some further activity there today in that same region. So keep an eye on it. Definitely showing some elevated activity out here in the last 24 hours around the Puerto Rico Trench, and specifically right here along this little plate boundary just north of the Dominican Republic area. The area south here into the Puerto Rico Trench, or this is the Mariottos Trough, but south here of the Puerto Rico mainland area. Definitely seeing some activity as well. Quite a few earthquakes chiming in there today. So a lot of squeezing going on, so to speak, across this plate boundary. And I'm sure there's more, some smaller quakes, but the USGS only shows the U.S. and U.S. territories, some of them, for the smaller earthquake activity. But I'm sure there's some smaller quake activity going on around the rest of the Caribbean plate, although it's not really showing up too much here. Middle America Trench, not seeing too much activity over here across the area of Mexico southward. Some older movement, 3s it looks like, from yesterday. And South America region definitely showing some elevated 3s and 4s down here. A lot of deeper activity triggering across the Puerto Rico Trench here, a major subduction zone area. All right, let's check out the states, see if we got anything major going on up here, aside from the oil fields getting hit once again with earthquakes outside of Pecos, Texas. Latest looks like a 1.6. A little bit of movement around the New Madrid seismic zone, and one little lonesome earthquake up here late last night, 2.7, coming into the New Hampshire area, way up north. Don't see too much earthquake activity up there, but there is some older fault systems that do run through there. And as far as the west coast goes, well, let's see what we got. Anything major to chat about? A couple smaller earthquakes down here in Los Angeles last night. This earthquake came in, I think, as a, holding steady as a 3.4. I think that was the original magnitude. It has been reviewed. That earthquake was felt all over the area of Huntington Beach and quite a bit around the Los Angeles area. Looks like they're seeing a couple smaller aftershocks here following that event. But also, if you notice over here, this is on the North American side of the plate boundary. This is where all that strain and stress has been building for over 300 years. Quite a bit of potential built-up strain in this region. Right in this area off the plate boundary, seen some further movement, including a three-pointer earlier this morning. So things are lighting up in general across the southern portion of the state, not just confined to one little area, but when we see a couple different regions showing some elevated activity, that's a good sign there of things under the pressure, so to speak. So keep an eye on Southern California here with that movement kicking up today and yesterday. Yellowstone National Park, really not seeing anything shown up here. Let's go check out the latest informational statement here. Or the Yellowstone overviews. There we go. See if I can spit that out correctly. Maple Creek. Seen a handful of smaller quakes yesterday. A couple more overnight and this morning, but doesn't look like there's too much activity stirring up out here today. Really not seeing it. Wanted to go back here to the GeoNet servers and check out their drums. Earthquake drums, that is. See what's going on here across the area. There is that that looks like that three-pointer that struck out here. That actually looks a little bit bigger than a three-pointer, but still up around the Hikurangi subduction zone. This activity occurring following that deeper movement yesterday. So just a heads up, keep an eye on this area. You know, there's so many areas on this planet. I do I watch quite a bit of the National Geographic shows in terms of, the Pacific Ring of Fire, draining the oceans, and all these subduction zones and past historical large earthquake activity. And we've been pretty fortunate and lucky here, I would say. At least the majority of us. You know, we've seen some large damaging earthquakes in recent years, but places like New Zealand, California, a few other areas that are, well overdue. We've been riding the wave, so to speak, in terms of luck. But I think it's just a matter of time before we do see that adjustment take place. And, the Alpine Fault down here, I think the last earthquake, a big full rupture, was back in 1717, I believe they said. And that's kind of weird, 1700, right, is when the last big earthquake up here struck, that 9-pointer in the Cascadia subduction zone. Also, they believe the last full rupture down here in the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault has been over 300 years, so that would put it around 1700. So, we got all this time building up here, a lot of strain, pressure, and we've been pretty lucky and fortunate, but that may not last, for much longer. Each year, each minute that goes by is the more likely that we're going to see some further large-scale activity take place here in our lifetime. So just got to be prepared and make sure you guys have some earthquake plans. Moving up into the Alaska area. This area has seen quite a bit of movement here recently around these volcanoes. Well, at least one volcano. The Kanaga volcano, I believe it is, up here. Let's see, there's so many volcanoes across the Aleutian Trench. But it looks like there's still some elevated activity here at the subduction zone level. Still indicating some strain across this region. Let me go over here to the Earthquake 3D globe, see if we got anything else to chat about. Some movement out here off the coast. Doesn't look like USGS is reporting that, but some movement there in the Arabian Sea, it looks like. Along this plate boundary here is what it looks like it's at, somewhere around there. Aside from that, movement in the Mediterranean fairly quiet, and the Atlantic Ocean quiet as well. I'm not really seeing anything 5.4 coming in right now as we speak in that quiet zone. Just a minute ago, this thing was quiet. Filling in those gaps here, folks. Deeper movement, definitely triggering some strain out here across this area of the plate boundary that has been somewhat quiet. So keep an eye on that region. 5.4 coming in right now. The activity up in Iceland, they haven't put out an update yet today. Basically means that things have probably not changed much up there. But their last update here at the Icelandic Met Office states that the activity has died off completely. But we're still concerned about inflation activity. And that inflation is obviously a sign of further magma accumulating, brewing underneath the surface here around the Svartsengi area. They're still thinking that the more likelihood area of another fissure opening up is north of the Hagafell area, directed away from the Grindavik area. From what I hear, I guess they're allowing some folks back in, according to a couple other YouTube channels here, into the Grindavik region. But still, we got that elevated swelling going on out here. I'm hoping that nothing else happens, but we're still looking at the rising inflation going on out here across this area. Let me show you guys GPS here for the Svartsengi area. Here is the last couple months or so. Now, of course, we've seen that major spike in activity there, end of October through November. And with the eruption there, we've seen a kind of a small drop in the inflation there. So a little bit of deflation going on. That would be expected, right, with the magma breaking through to the surface and creating these lava fields and relieving a little bit of pressure. But in my sense here, I don't think that was enough. Things are still going back up. If you look here, this is now, last couple days here showing that gradual uptrend right here where this magnifying glass is, showing some inflation going on once again. So gotta watch it. I don't think we're over here yet. Question is, where's the next breakthrough going to happen? Gotta watch for earthquake swarms. That's probably a leading indicator of where things are going to pop. But for now, earthquake activity, got about 26 earthquakes here in total across the Iceland area. But the region of concern here, at least for the folks in Grindavik, only a handful of earthquakes here today so far. Space weather activity from the solarham.net site showing continuing dwindling conditions here. Not looking at a whole lot of elevated, complex sunspots. What's going on? It always happens here when I switch over to the Space Weather Prediction Center. It hangs up, and I'm not for sure why. So I'm going to close that out. And I don't think it's a SolarHam. SolarHam's pretty quick and fast, but when I click on this here, it always hangs up for some reason. Are they down or what? What's going on with the Space Weather Prediction Center? Okay, that was weird. It's up, but took a lot longer than I like. Yeah, here's the flaring activity over the last 24 hours. Just seeing a little bit of sea flare activity, but aside from that, things are pretty quiet there across the region. We do have numerous sunspots out here, but I've been chatting about the separation events of all of them. And the separation of them means no flaring going on. That their separation's increasing throughout the last couple days here of all these sunspots. So I'm really not expecting much in terms of any type of strong solar flaring. I don't see anything really of noteworthy mentioning here about any of these sunspots, unfortunately, but that's how it is for now. A look at the aurora forecast doesn't show a whole lot here because we haven't seen any major CMEs. No major coronal holes are facing us, and that is that. If you notice here, the solar cycle 25 progression chart, this is the original one, not the experimental one where they've adjusted their forecast to the current activity. I think that's kind of cheating, isn't it? You know, adjusting as the data comes in. This was their forecast here, where we were earlier this year really ramping up the sunspots. Remember, a lot of strong flares, a lot of CME, solar storms, and now, you know, we're taking a turn towards more quieter conditions. Yes, we have a lot of sunspots, but you know, they've been pretty quiet here. Not a whole lot of complexity going on or growth with those sunspots as they face Earth. So we're now down into the chart of their original forecast. And this original forecast shows the peaking of solar cycle 25 around the summer of 2025. But their adjusted one shows that we could be peaking out sometime next year. I think it was between March and October. So we'll see how that plays out. The sun is definitely doing some weird stuff in terms of these little cycles. So we'll continue to watch that and report back on it. But as long as these things stay separated, that is not going to happen in terms of strong flaring activity. Pretty cool to look at if you got a solar filter on your telescope or camera, solar camera lens. Pretty neat to see, but not a whole lot of exciting times, you know, when it comes to flaring or anything like that. Pretty calm. So right now we got 99% chance for a C flare, M flare at 30. X flare has been dropped to 1% chance. Storm Prediction Center here shows a little bit of severe weather potential across areas of western Texas out here around Odessa and Midland. Looks like we do have a little chance for tornado activity, 2%. Main threat looks like it's going to be some wind and some hail out there in the 15% zone, 5% out there as well, but just stay weather aware if you are out there in western Texas. General thunderstorm activity stretching up, though, across areas of the southern plains, and over the next couple days it looks like just some thunderstorm activity across portions of the south as they get some rainfall down there. Numerical models. This is kind of what I've been looking at. I like looking at these when I'm out storm chasing in the plains, and also, you know, for active weather out here across the West Coast, because weather is better for me. And it looks like we're going to be entering into another wet pattern here beginning, I think it's on the 27th or 28th, right about here, 28th. That's going to be the 27 time frame, our time. This is UTC time. So after Christmas Day, going into the new year, things look awfully wet out here across the West Coast. There is some colder storms coming in. These aren't directly from the south like we had seen, or southwest that we had seen those last couple storm systems. So there's going to be some snow associated with it, and the rainfall accumulation rates out here are looking pretty decent as we extend into towards the second week of January of the new year. Some impressive rainfall totals coming in once again. For California, here around the Sacramento Valley, could pick up another 3 to 4 inches of rainfall from these series of storm systems that are coming in. So every little bit helps, and we'll continue to watch that. The jet stream pattern out there, let me go over here and check out the Pacific Jet upper air dynamics. Now, this here is kind of what amplifies storm systems out here across the West Coast. Pretty lengthy, pretty strong Pacific Jet aiming right at the West Coast, but we're noticing, a little bit of breakup of it but it's still trying. And that's kind of why we're noticing those storm systems coming in. Not full blast here into the west coast, but at least they're reaching us and allowing for some precipitation to come in. And as we head into January, I guess we'll kind of see what goes on. Let's see, 500. Okay, so this is going to show you high pressure, low pressure system. This was the 20th. We're past that. That was a low pressure system there in Southern California. That, of course, is now into the Texas area right about there. High pressure building up here into the Canada region, keeping the folks nice and dry up there and warmer than normal. As we put this into motion here, it looks like that high pressure system definitely wants to, well, it looks like maybe it's going to get replaced there as we head into the first week of December, or January. Massive high pressure dominant way up north. That's a little scary, but I'm glad it's up there instead of down here across the states. That would not be good. But it looks like that's going to increase some troughing, cooler conditions, and wetter conditions out here for the lower 48. As long as this stays away from us, I think we'll be okay. But that is a little scary seeing that dominant high pressure building up like that. But yeah, some colder air as we head into January. Looks like wintertime will definitely be affecting the majority of the country as we head into the new year. All right, let's see what else we got. Anything major going on the seismograph stations? It doesn't look like it. There's a little spike there on Yellowstone. Noticing that right there. But these other little spikes, I'm not for sure what that is. I don't know if they got wind up there or what. Let's take a look here and see. Yeah, certain areas have wind, but not super strong there around Yellowstone. But who knows? It could be a little bit higher up there across the peaks. All right, folks, I'm going to jump off here. Have yourself a good day. Please stay safe out there and enjoy your Saturday. Like I say, we got sunshine out here in Northern California right now, so just going to soak that up a little bit. Not too bad. 55 degrees. I got 58 here where I'm at. So, yeah, have a good Saturday, folks. We'll catch you guys back here a little bit later tonight. I didn't quite get an update last night, so watching a movie with Missy Mimi's, and by the time we were done, it was just late, and I was tired, so I just went to bed. But we'll be back out here tonight with the complete update. We'll catch you guys back here then. Have a good one.